Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, back for another video. This is episode number
126.
126. That makes sense. Last time was 125. Thank you for my coffee. Let's hope I don't spill it. So, hope y'all are doing well. Hubs and I we've had some creep and crawl and crud. I was sick, got better, and then somehow I got his cough. So, I don't know. We're much better now. He's still coughing a little bit. So if he coughs, I'll tell him to skedaddle into the other room because it gets pretty crazy. So first of all, I wanted to start out with a huge shout out, condolences to family and friends of Jean Lee, who passed away. She was the owner of the attic. There have been some wonderful tributes to her, both on Instagram and in FlossTube videos, and there'll never be another one like her. Jean was exceptional in her people skills as far as encouraging designers. She was unequaled in, having a shop that was catered towards samplers and everything samplers and cross stitch. And I did have the pleasure of meeting her a couple times. The one and only time I went to the attic was in 2019 and got to meet her then. I will have my husband insert a picture either at the beginning or the end of Jean. She was just a very warm, encouraging, kind person. And the first time I met her, first of all, you're in awe when you walk in the attic because of all the models, all the samplers. It's just, it's quite overwhelming. But I was tongue-tied and nervous, and I got introduced to her, and I had already started videos, so it was, I guess she kind of knew who I was, I'm assuming. Anyway, the first words out of my mouth were, "You're so pretty!" I think it caught her off guard. She was like, "Oh, well, you're pretty too." I was like, of all the traits that you want, it's like, "You're so pretty." Oh, felt like I was being a crazy person is what I was being. Anyway, but I really got to know her a little bit better at the Quilter Station retreats that I went to, because she went just as a retreat attendee, and I think she was more relaxed and, just there for the retreat and not concerned with everything that was going on as she was hostessing a retreat. So we all went out to dinner one night. I got to learn about how she was a court reporter and some of the crazy court cases she was on, and she just was a wonderful person, easy to talk to, and just really an encourager to anybody that was interested in stitching. And so condolences to her family, prayers that her memories will just carry you through. And thankfully, she's on video. That's a wonderful thing about FlossTube, is that there are people that are no longer with us, that you can watch on video and still get to see them. I think that's a good thing. So anyway. On with the stitching. The first thing I wanted to address, first of all, I have nothing up here. It's completely blank because I have so much around me, and I took down the snowman stuff because, it got to be 80 something degrees here, and I was like, no, we're not having snowmen anymore. So anyway, I took down that, but today I'm going to focus entirely on BlackBird. So I'm going to call this a BlackBird Palooza. Palooza meaning an interesting and abundant, exciting event. So
Spell that for me, will you?
Palooza.
Now
Palooza.
Now spell it backwards.
No, thank you. Anyway, but first I wanted to mention I had a lot of people ask about this pillow that was up here. First of all, this pillow used to have ruffles, and I cut all the ruffles off and just re-seamed it. But this is by, it just says Frosty. It's just embroidered. It does look like it has cross stitches. You know, it's kind of got, what do they call that? Freehand cross stitch or whatever. It's not counted cross stitch. It has a lot of French knot stars and then some buttons. These are all French knots. This is all French knots. And so I had a lot of people ask. I did that years ago. And I did a couple of them, but it's by a company called I Done My Best. Am I doing this upside down? No, that's right. I Done My Best. So this is Frosty by I Done My Best. The gal's name was Sandra White. I did Google these, and there are a few still on eBay. But it came with the buttons. Oops, that one's not Frosty. This one's Frosty. Sorry. It came with the buttons, and it just has a pattern on the inside. Has the DMC colors, and then you just trace it either with a light box or whatever, and then you just embroider it. I did them on muslin, so I did that one. I did the Freedom Angel. I did a Halloween one that it's been put away. I'd like to do this one, Heart and Hand. I have about 10 of these. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe these X's represent the number of either, I think, grandchildren. I don't think they were children. So sometimes there's 8 and sometimes there's 9, sometimes there's 7. That kind of tells you what order. So originally I bought this at the quilt store that I worked at in the early 90s. Sorry, I don't want to cough, so I'm trying to keep from coughing. This is another one I'd like to do. This is Liberty and Justice for All. You can see the buttons attached. So anyway, it's by a company called I Done My Best. Okay, so now we're ready for BlackBird. So many of you may remember the last video I talked about January and February. I wanted to completely dedicate to stitching BlackBird, specifically on my BlackBird whips. So I had a couple of finishes, and I have a piece in progress, and so thank you. And so I thought I'd show you my progress, what I've done so far. Okay, that's my whips. Okay, the first piece I finished is Bringing Good Cheer. And this is by BlackBird. Everything's by BlackBird, so I'm not going to keep saying that. So this is Bringing Good Cheer. And this was one of their 4 Christmas. They have 4 Christmas pieces. And so I had it almost finished in December, but I didn't get it quite done. And I got it finished during January. Now, I'm going to try not to talk a lot about each piece because I have tons of things that have been taken off the walls. I have a lot of smalls. I have a lot to show you. So if I get bogged down talking about a lot of details, it'll be way too long of a video for him to upload. But on the basket originally is supposed to be completely satin stitched, going one way and then the other way, you know, so that it looks like a basket weave. I didn't want to do that. So I just did the very center of the box. I did a few rows, of the basket, I did a few rows of Smyrnas. I had doubts about putting the Merry Christmas in the different colors, but I decided to go with it. So that's Bringing Good Cheer. So I finished that one. I had started this one. Oh, I got stuff all over here. I started this one, I don't know if it's this past Christmas or before, but this is in the book Home for the Holidays. A lot of people have shown this book. It is current. Which, by the way, there's a wonderful website. First of all, if you join Fans of Blackbird Designs on Facebook, the administrator is, I can't remember her first name, but her last name is Geary, Geary. And she also has put out on the internet a inventory of all Blackbird. It's extensive. I mean, they have done so many designs. So I just wanted to tell you that if you see any of these and I don't have the book or I don't know if it's out of print, you could, as long as I give you the name of the design, which I'm going to try to do in all of them, you can go to that inventory list and it will tell you whether it's out of print or whether it's been reprinted, which Alma is reprinting a lot of things. So it may be something that was out of print but has since been reprinted. So anyway, the book is Home for the Holidays and the design is also called Home for the Holidays. And I had this started, I worked on it a little bit last year, but I went ahead and finished it. And I have a lot of things that need to be fully finished. Evidently, my stuff has to age a little bit before I can fully finish them. But anyway, I wasn't crazy about this fabric. It's called 35 count Peeps Lost Sheep or something like that. It was okay. It's not a Zweigart, you can tell. It has a lot of thick and thin. It's supposed to have beads around the bird's neck, and I didn't do beads. I just put some French knots in there. I actually bought some beads, but they were really bright red. I don't know what I was thinking, and it really takes more of a dark wine-colored bead. So I did finish that. The other one I finished, and this has been a whip for years and years and years and years and years. I really never thought I'd finish it. Well, I did, but I kept putting it off. And I kept thinking, oh, that'll be so easy. Why don't I just sit down and do it? So it was originally it's called Kindred Spirits. This was originally a kit from Dying to Stitch Club, a club kit from Dying to Stitch. And I had started it. I still have the fabric. The club was called Soul Sisters, Kindred Spirits. So I had started it, didn't have a lot done, and for some reason I just was motivated to get some of these whips finished. So I stitched it and I completely finished it. However, I did change some things. Now it's meant to be a drum. It will be a big drum, but I think I sort of wanted it as a big drum, you know. Who doesn't love a big drum? Anyway, so you can tell it would be a fairly large drum. So let me tell you about this. Kindred Spirits, it's supposed to have your friend's first name, initials, or whatever. And I didn't really want to do that. I thought about putting ancestors, and I really didn't want to do that either because there's nowhere on a drum to like document, okay, this is who this B and C and A stood for. So I just added things in the areas where you were supposed to put initials. For example, in the middle of these birds, I put a heart. The middle of here, I just kind of improvised and put different things. I added some more doodahs, hanging doodahs, whatever. So this has been reprinted. It's in this Crowns and Shields book, which came out last year, I think. However, the Kindred Spirits in here, and I'll read what Alma says. Originally, this was a class piece done in 2017. I didn't know it was a class, but whatever. This design was based on the antique piece which influenced this booklet. Barb's use of 3 colors was just the right. We reproduced the class piece here as Barb's family, Barb passed away in 2021, has the original drum. So this one is a do of the original that has Alma's friends or whatever initials. So it's a little bit different than the original, but very much close to being the same. It doesn't have as much of the third color. But anyway, it is in the Crowns and Shields book, so you can stitch the revised or the updated version. So that was a finish. So those were my 2 finishes. I also finished the one that was my January Blessing sampler. Did I show you that on my last one? I think I did. Anyway, it'll come up again. So then I decided to really put the pedal to the metal for Little Birds. This is a huge piece. I didn't bring the actual pattern, but it's 400 and something by 300 and something. It's huge. So I really, and here's the flosses. They're all the called for. I really had hoped I could get this done during February. Now, that only gives me like, I don't even know what today is, 16th, 17th. It'll probably be a few days before you see this, but I only have like 10 or 11 days left, so we'll see what I can get done. But here's my progress on Little Birds. I've been working on that middle row with those little motifs. I still have a lot of the flowers to do. But what I decided to do, and let me show you here. So there's all these little baskets in here. So I have this all finished. So really I'm down to here, except for, a couple flowers. Plus I have the border done. So I decided last night, I guess I was in a counting mood, to go ahead and put in the part of the baskets of those motifs there. So now I've evenly spaced what they're supposed to be. It was a lot of counting. Some of them were 24, 28 stitches apart. So I had to count them multiple times. But they're all correct. And now I can just focus on actually stitching those baskets. So it's a little bit more mindless. And each basket has to have, many, many colors. And then I'll get down to the house, the cartouche, and then there's some extra stuff. And then I'd like to work on the flowers as I go, because if I don't, I'll be sorry. Because all those flowers at the end will be crazy. Sully Stitches is also working on that. So next I'm going to show you some whips that I have that are Blackbird. I don't think I'm going to get to these. During this January, February, because I want to work on Little Birds. I'd rather have a finish of that than to work on these smalls or these whips. The first whip I have is this one here. I've already done this, and you'll see this in my parade. So I'd love to do this one too. I've also finished this one. You'll see it in the parade. So some of them I stitched from an individual pattern, and now they're in this book. That'll be the case with a lot of things. I will try my best. I have the original patterns, and I'll try, like I said, to let you know, oh, this has been reprinted. But again, that inventory list is what you really need to, if you're a huge fan of Blackbird. If you're not, I don't know, you might not enjoy this video. But I've been a huge fan of Blackbird for many years. I knew Alma. She worked at the store called Saltbox Sampler in Kansas City. I started going there shortly before we moved to Florida, and she worked there. That was way before Blackbird Designs was Blackbird Designs. And then when Loose Feathers first came out, I was at a retreat, and the Old Mill Stitchery was kitting them, and you just signed up for the club, so I have all of them. It's kind of a situation of being in the right place at the right time, which I was. So anyway, this is a start, and this is all the further I am on this one. I'm not going to tell you all the linens. If it's marked on it, I will tell you, but otherwise, this is 40 count Confederate gray. I don't have that candlestick thing that it's on. I probably will just use like a tart pan or something like that. These are all the threads for this book. And it's called American Eagle. So that is one whip. I showed you this last time. This is barely a start. This is Humming of the Bees. Not enough to even talk about, much less write home about it. And these are the threads. And maybe later in the year I'll be able to get back to that. This was Mary Selby Humphrey. I really had hoped to touch this one. This is the antique. You know, this is the thing about BlackBird. Okay, most of my cross stitch, I save all the patterns. And once I have finished stitching a piece, I put the patterns in a box under my bed. So when I do a video, I go look through all of those to find the patterns so I can show you the pattern as well as what I've stitched. BlackBird, I have filed with all of the BlackBird pieces because there's so many things that even if I finish this, I may want to go back and do this one. So, you know, there's so many multiple things in different books that I don't really want to put them away. Does that make sense? So I showed you this before, Maria Selby Humphrey. They did not restitch the antique. They just charted it. And they even have a hanging thread on this one. So that's where I am on this one. I had hoped to touch this one during January, February, but I didn't. And I'm really obsessed with getting Little Birds finished. So that's kind of where I am. These are very muted colors. A little more muted than BlackBird usually does. And there's no red in there. But again, they charted it from the antique. The next whip I have from BlackBird is this Autumn Bouquet. This was not a Loose Feathers. I thought it was. Loose Feathers was the club. And at one point, when it was first started, you had to belong to the club. You couldn't just outright buy them. And they came kitted. Most stores that signed up to offer the club, they offered them kitted. Fortunately, Old Mill Stitchery, they kitted them, but you only got the threads you needed in a little pack. So in other words, if you only needed, you know, 2 lengths, they didn't give you the whole skein. So it made it very affordable. And back then, they didn't even have my credit card. They would send it to me, and there would be an invoice, and then I would just send a check back. So that was crazy back in the day. And this is all that I have finished on this. This is on Seraphim Sand Dunes. Lisa Kindred Stitcher said she was going to start this, and I was like, oh, I have that. I'll start it. And that's all I did. I started. So I would like to get back to that before fall. Then I have First Winds of Autumn. This is the giant drum. Again, this was a club piece. And, oh, he's got to skedaddle because he's going to cough. There he goes. Oh, the sound of love. Poor guy. He's had it worse than me. Anyway, First Winds of Autumn. It's the giant strawberry with the bird. I barely have a start on this one. Yeah, barely a start. This was originally a Dying to Stitch kit as well. And I started on the bottom. So that's all there is. And this is a R&R linen. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like, kind of looks like Winter Brew, but it may be like, I don't know. Anyway, that was a kit from Dying to Stitch. And I would love to finish that one. Okay, the next one. This is seriously an embarrassment. So, last Tuesday, Susan Aki, Yard Girl, invited me and another friend to come and stitch at her house. And her mom now lives with her. So her mom was there and her mom had a friend too. So it was like 5 of us sitting around the table. It was very neat. Got to see her new house, which is just as, she's Yard Girl 60. She's a quilt designer. I've known her for years and years before she was famous.
Books.
Yeah, she's done, 9 or 10 books. She designs for Aurifil. She does free patterns for Aurifil thread boxes. She's amazing. But anyway, her house was gorgeous. So, what are the first words out of her mouth when we start talking? And she's like, did you ever finish Anniversaries of the Heart? And her mom says, oh, that's that beautiful one you stitched for me, and I have it, and I just love it. It was hanging in my house, and I need to put it up in here, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, shut up, Susan. Because no, I have not finished Anniversaries of the Heart. Yes, I'm embarrassed. Yes, it's disgusting. All I have left to do is the over one. So here's Anniversaries of the Heart. And yes, I need to finish it.
Well, we do live in the South, where the motto is fixing to get ready.
Fixing to get ready, yeah. So I know who every month I know whose name will be on it. But I have to tell you part of my dilemma. There just went a pin or needle. So the very last one, number 12, is this last block. Now, Barb Adams put, my name is Barb Adams, Missouri is my home. To those I hold dear, recorded here, 2011. 2011. That's 14 years ago. I started, and this is like on 30 count, maybe? I don't know. What was it originally designed to be on? 30 count, yep. So at the very end, I have that block. I don't know what to put. I thought about putting a scripture. I thought about putting Missouri as my, birthplace. I thought about putting Florida as my home. And I don't know. I have a list of all the names and who gets what month. And I just need to finish it. It's in a BlackBird bag. BlackBird fabric that came out years ago. It's sad. It's sad. So it needs to be on the docket for sometime this year. Whether I do one a month, because actually one of the months my husband's date I have in there. So I really only have there's more than 12 because you have bonus blocks, but I could do one a month and be done by the end of the year. The time I did that, I thought it was so huge. And now it's like not that huge. So I'm going to finish. I have one more whip to show you, and then I'm going to start the Palooza of finishes. So anyway, this is the last embarrassment. This is in the book, A Heart Remembers. When I originally started to stitch this, they were individual patterns. They were part of the loose feathers, and you got a bonus block every month. So, I don't see the whole thing finished. Here it is. And it was originally done, like I said, it's in A Heart Remembers, and it's called, it's called Heart and Home Patchwork. I don't know what it was originally called, but. So, I started stitching it on 30 count, 2 strands. I had the middle done because I figured let's get the house done. That's the most intense stitching. I'm using 5 different fabrics. Of course, Susan has hers done on hanging in her in her house. When you get that tickle and you're like, I think I'm going to be coughing. And then I spilt wine. So here's the house block. It's all finished. I have all the threads. I have all of the 5 pieces of linen. I started on this one, and you can see, well, it doesn't really matter because a lot of fabrics have modeling, but you can see this around here, this blue. So I don't know whether to just restitch this one. I don't know, because back they were not color fast. Overdyed threads were not color fast at the time. So I could easily just restitch this one. I don't know. I've just put it away. I was so disgusted that I did that you can see there's also bleeding over here. Now, you know, I could finish this and put it on the wall and probably nobody would ever notice. Especially on a galloping horse driving by 20 miles an hour. So I'm going to take a quick break so I can cough, 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 get a cough drop, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to start with smaller pieces, and then I'm going to go to all my framed pieces. I didn't get out everything. I do have some more pieces that are, I think they're with Christmas or Halloween stuff, although some of fall stuff I have in a cabinet. I have stuff everywhere, so who knows? I mean, I find it eventually. But on command, it's like, oh, that's kind of hard to find. First of all, I will tell you, I don't have this one with me, but I did do this one for my daughter. It's called Dear Daughter. And it's on her wall. I framed it myself. I probably need to restretch it because I pinned it and it probably needs to be laced. But I did do that one for my daughter. So many of these you've seen before, maybe all of them you've seen before, but I don't know that you've all seen them at one time. Now, I did do a BlackBird tribute where I showed all their books and a lot of their patterns. I don't know if I showed everything, but when Barb passed away in 2021, I kind of did a BlackBird Palooza then. So I'm not sure what video number that is, but you can go back and, because this is just cross stitch. I'm not including any of the quilt books or quilts that I've made. This one's called Waiting for the Harvest. This, I think, is since in a book. I did mine in this, I think I used whiskey. I know I used one thread, but I used the darker on the birds and the lighter for the pumpkin of the variegation. But I still used just the one thread, color whiskey. And this originally was what was called Reward of Merit. They did a lot of these little small patterns called Reward of Merit. They don't publish them like this anymore. She usually just puts them into a book. This one's called Spell of the Moon. This is in a book. Not sure what book it's in. Again, I refer you back to that. See, yesterday I hardly coughed at all, and here I am today. Anyway, this one is called Spell of the Moon. And I finished it with this cool fabric on the back. It says October 31st. So I refer you back to that inventory list. This one I did after Barb passed away. It's also a Reward of Merit called Basket of Memories. It says Remember Me. And I put Barb Adams. She was exactly the same age as me because we were both born in 51 and we both loved the Beatles. So that was something we talked about whenever I'd go to retreats. Okay, this one I did not stitch, but I know it was in a magazine. Either a Just Cross Stitch ornament issue, I think is what it was from. It was during an exchange at our stitching group. I think it was probably stitched with 2 strands. Maybe on like a 30 or 28 or 32, I don't know. Anyway, somebody stitched that for me. And she didn't put her initials or the date, but anyway. This one was in that book, the patriotic book that I just showed you. What was that called? Come on, Carol. Sweet Land of Liberty. Up here. I originally did it, like I said, it was one of their reward of merit. These are always so fun to get out when it's the season. Okay. Let's see if I can reach this. This is the Garden Club series, and I did the first 2. You were originally supposed to do this like on, I think, however many designs. Is there 9 or 12, whatever. You were supposed to do it on different linens and you sew them all together, which I started doing, and then I decided I wanted to do it on one piece. But I did finish 2 of them. So this is the first one, Basket of Cherries. So I finished this one. It's gorgeous. And it is on like, let me see what, I originally got this kitted from Old Mill Stitchery that has since closed. 32 count cocoa by week. So these are all on 32 count. So I did this one and I did this one, the first and the second one. Sometimes I'll put this out with Christmas because of the green. And anyway, all this to say, rather than do it on multiple linens, I decided I'd rather do it on one piece of linen on like 36 or 40 count. So I just made those into smalls. However, so here's the other apple orchard. It has just been announced on the Fans of BlackBird Facebook group, which you need to join. You probably have to answer some questions, but you need to join. That Alma is reprinting all of this. This is called the Garden Club series, and she's reprinting it sometime this year. She's also reprinting the Bird series that there's, it's done in a lot of blues and tans and some golds. And that one she is also reprinting. I imagine they'll come out in books, but I don't know. And she just said this year. So I have all of them. I have them originally kitted in the different linens. But again, I would like to do them on one piece of linen. I know Kindred Stitcher's done them on one piece of linen. I think Nicole's Needlework also did them on one piece of linen. So I would like to do that at some point. Because 32 I use 2 strands, which that makes them very vibrant, which I like. And they were the first one to really start doing that, where you did different linens and then you sewed them together in the middle. So the next one I want to show you is this was from a retreat. This is called, I have little 4 patches in here. This is called Willing Hands. This was from a retreat. We got the box. Willing Hands. And it has since come out in the Sewing Club book. So this is it right here. I don't know where the box came from, but I'm sure Hobby Lobby or someplace would have a box that would fit on. So also in this sewing club book, I also, from a retreat, had these two charts, Summer Basket and Garden Morning, of which I have finished. They are also in this garden club book. This is a wonderful book, and this comes from a lot of the retreats. This is Summer Basket, which I have finished but not fully finished, into the little pouch or bag. It has a wrinkle, sorry. I keep it in this book so that I can follow the directions to finish it. But I also have all of the finishing stuff. And then also, oh, I didn't bring that out. This is also in the book, or this was part of the retreat, My Home. And here's the little container. It's like a little Matchbox container. And this is how it's supposed to be. It's over one. I started it. I didn't like how my stitches were, so I want to restart that. So that's what it looks like when it's finished. So those are those three pieces from that retreat, and I need to finish the third one. And they're all in this book. Oh, I didn't show you the drum. Sorry. Okay. This is a wonderful book, Garden Club. If you don't have it, you should. I'm sure it's still available. Has this wonderful hollyhocks were always there needle roll. Oh, I want to make that. Oh, come on, Carol. I know that little drum's in here somewhere. Here it is. It's called Garden Morning. And I finished the stitching, but obviously it has to age a little bit before I do the fully finishing. So this is the drum, and that's the top of the drum. So the bottom of the drum will be here, and then the top of the drum. Finished that in 2021. That's the sin that hasn't gotten fully finished. But evidently that's how I roll. So anyway. Let me move some of this stuff a little bit. Okay. Keep on this trail here. This one I finished. This is from the Ooh La La book. This again is like Garden Club. This has a lot of really cool things in it. And I finished this one and gave it to my sister on a shaker box. I love this one. It's called Spring Green, as named after the town that Country Sampler's in. There's a lot of French pieces in here from their trip to France. Last Rose of Sharon, that's the one I finished for my sister. And then, oh, come on, Carol. A lot of people have done like this red sampler. And this one. Bit of spring. I'll get there. I promise. I did do La Paulette. I'll show you that in a minute. It's at the bottom of the stack, but it's also in this book. I did it from a reward of merit. La Poulette. Doesn't that mean the egg or the chicken? I don't know. And then this is Mon Petit Exemplar. Oh, that's not French. That's just made up garbledygook. Anyway, I did this one. It was a kit, I'm sure. And I actually finished this one. So we got the fabric for the middle, and then I just hang it in my sewing room. My sewing room, not my long arm room. My long arm room's our family room, but it's more of a workshop with rolls of batting and all that kind of stuff. My sewing room is where I sit and stitch. My daughter calls it my padded room because I have so much fabric on the walls in there. And you know, a lot of people are in padded rooms so they don't hurt themselves. Mine is so I don't hurt other people. Anyway, all of my BlackBird framed pieces are on the wall, with maybe one Christmas exception, are on the wall in the sewing room. So there's 25 pieces up on the wall. He'll insert a picture at some point of that. So I'll have to put them all back. Get out the stepladder. But anyway, Mon Petit, whatever. This was very fun. It's a very faded look. And I was excited to finish that. And that one is from the Ooh La La book. So there's a lot of these things that are definitely still available to stitch, even though they've been out in a different form in the past. This one I finished last year. It's Berry Time. I don't think this has been reprinted. This one also has a extra one that I'd like to do that says needles. There's another one that says pins that's on another. This is Loose Feathers number 37. But some of these things you can get on D-Stash. Floss Boss and Cousins, Callie and Christy. Callie, she's into really finding a lot of old BlackBird, and she's been pretty successful. So anyway, it's Berry Time. This was originally a kit to do it on like 30 or 32 count, but I did it on 40. So this is one that I'd like to order a frame for, and I have a spot on the wall for it to fit. So it's Berry Time number 37, Loose Feathers. The next one, I don't know if this has been reprinted or not. This is As Blossoms and Blossoms and Blossoms as the Rose. I always thought it was As Blossoms the Rose. It's and Blossoms as the Rose. So I have these two pieces finished. I would love to do the bigger piece. When I did them, they were from a class. This was in Kansas at a retreat center. My sister and I went. And so these were the kit pieces. And I finished, I think this is still available, but I am not certain. So I finished the little framed piece into a pillow. And I finished the drum. Now this is all on Velt, which is very green. Some of my drums probably need a little bit more stuffing, but there's a bird on top. You know, BlackBird does these very muted colors, and you know, there's sometimes you think, well, this isn't even going to show up, like this little doodad here. You don't really see that, but that's kind of the beauty of it to me. That's why I call it vintage pretty. This is like something you would find in someone's house, you know, like a Victorian house that you know, the owner passed away and they're having an estate sale and there's a bunch of her sewing stuff and you find this and you find this and they've just faded over time, you know. So anyway, I still would like to do the bigger piece, which at the time when we got it was called the Quaker Family Register. Alma's family, she has Quaker in her heritage, and I think they were from, I want to say they were from Iowa, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's from that book. You've seen all these 100 times. This is Midnight Ride. I did it, you know, the bird on the LaHaye's box. My husband always says, make sure you match up the fingers. Anyway, so that one, Midnight Ride. This has since been reprinted in a book too. I'd love to do this little witch hat. I think that's adorable. Maybe at some point. Sorry, I just bumped the microphone, so that might have made a sound. Hold on. Let me get it closer. Whoops. Closer. There we go. The next one I just finished last year after starting it many moons ago. This is Casting a Spell. The box is still available. You can get it. I can't remember if it's called a compartment jewelry box, but it is still available. My husband painted it for me with milk paint. So that is all done. Hold on here. This is Cats on Parade. You've seen this one a million times. I'll probably show it again this fall. This was done on 30 count. This particular linen color is not available, but there are other oranges out there that you can use. I think there's a Zweigart one that's a nice color. Okay, we're getting down to some of the things that... This is Peace Rose. This was a reward of merit, but I'm pretty sure this has been reprinted in a book, but I'm not 100% sure. Pretty sure, but not 100%. Peace Rose by BlackBird, obviously. Everything's by BlackBird. I don't know why I said that. This was one that I think what used to be a freebie you could just get at the counter. This was from a store called Just Needling in Lee Summit. It's called Thistle Manor. It should be finished. It's kind of a crime. Must be in that aging process. Oh, I wondered where that one is. Okay, good. Some of the rest are unframed, so I want to get to that in a minute. This is Darling Buds of May. This is in Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day piece. So, Darling Buds of May, and then I also did this one. The original had Jesus on the cross, and they opted not to rechart the antique with the cross on it. It was like, so instead they broke it down into two. So this is Darling Buds of May. On purpose, I didn't stuff this very full. I wanted it just kind of loose and wiggly. So it's loose and wiggly. The other one from there is this one that also is the name of the book, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? Whoops, sorry. Watch what I'm doing here. And I'd like to frame this. This was originally supposed to be on 32. I think I stitched it on 40, so it's a lot smaller. But it would be fun to frame it. And it's the same title as the book, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? This one is called Les Poulettes. This is in a book. Did I show it to you already? Anyway, it has since, I think it's in Ooh La La. Les Poulettes, yeah, because I said it was the chicken, the egg. I don't know, it's one or the other. It's like French for poultry, maybe. Not only can I not speak French, I cannot translate French. So totally ignore me, especially if you're French. Anyway, I drive myself crazy. I do, I drive myself crazy. This is Agnes Platt. This was a Loose Feathers number, spring 2013. I would love to do this one, the bee. I don't think this is available. I did the small one, which is here, which I need to finish into, well, here's a better picture of it on the back. And that is called, again, you can go to that website, Summerberry Pincushion. It's supposed to have beads all the way around. Stainless steel pins and 6-inch strand of Chinese crystal beads. I don't do beads. I'll do French knots, but I don't do beads. So anyway, I did that one. I also did the big one, and I'm going to show you that when I get to the framed pieces. And I have this one. I did this for my sister and I. This is called The Old Mill, which was the Old Mill Stitchery. And it was just a tribute to their 25th anniversary, which was, I don't know if it has a date in here. Always happy to have an excuse to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Old Mill Stitchery in Liberty, Missouri is one of the best reasons we found lately to toss confetti in the air. Mary Atherton and Barb Cohey. Mary is still alive. Barb passed away, but Mary I've seen at a couple of the Quilter Station retreats. It was very good to see her. So because my sister and I first started going to the Old Mill together, I did this one and I put, and I need to frame it, my initials and my sister's initials. And literally, it was in an old mill. There were multiple stores. At one time, there was a little tea room. It was fabulous, just fabulous. I'm running out of places to put these things. Okay, last small that I'm going to show you is this one is from a book called With Needle and Thread. There's a couple of their books that I don't think they've been in there. I don't know that they will be reprinted. This one I actually started. I found it in here. I need to finish that. It's called Friendship's Sheltering Vine. Susan Aki has this one done in her house, and it's gorgeous. She has a lot of stitchery that's not just her red wall. But this one I did, and I had this framed at one time, and I took it out of the frame. It was framed oversized. It's called Simple Harvest. And it actually calls for, let me go to the page here. It actually calls for a Water Lilies Kelp by Karen. And I couldn't find that, so I used a different Water Lilies. And it does have some variegation. There's reds and I have no idea what I stitched this on. It is done with 2 strands. I didn't put a date on it. Simple Harvest. I could probably make that into a pincushion or a stand-up. Okay, I'm going to move some things around, and then I'm going to show you pieces that need to be framed. I mean, there's other small ones that need to be framed, and also ones that are framed. So, wish me luck that I don't have a disaster. I'll be right back. Going to start handing me things that are framed, and this is the first one. I did not stitch this. My friend Ruth stitched this for me. It was kind of a joke. I got this out one day and I said I should stitch this. It's called Evergreen, and she said I have that too. I should stitch it too. So we were both going to stitch it, and what happens? She stitches it for me, so I need to stitch it for her. So that one is Evergreen. This next one, they did a series that said there would be 9 family home or family history patterns. I think they only came out with 4 or 5. I actually don't have all of the 4 or 5. I have these 2. And I have, so this one is called My Missouri Home. I have not stitched that, but since I was born and raised in St. Louis, I should stitch that. But the one that I did do is Maud Eloise. So this is Maud Eloise, and I put my dad's mom's maiden name, well, her name, Christina Bauer. Some of these I've dated and some of them I haven't, but definitely I used 2 strands, so this is probably on about 30, whatever it called for. I was a huge, whatever it called for, BlackBird. Okay, dear.
Okay, dear.
He's going to hand them to me.
Sweet talk will get you nowhere, but keep it up.
Okay. Let's start with those, and then we'll go to the stacks. This one is called Summer Souvenir, and this is in the book Souvenirs of Summer. And this is one that Susan Aki started and I finished. She didn't like it, so she gave it to me. So I finished it. And that
That's
one.
going to get too high. Why don't you hand them back to me?
Okay. Okay.
Interesting.
This one is not framed, but this is Loose Feathers 13. This is called Spring Fling. And this one I just made into like a flat. Spring Fling. This one is called Merry Christmas, Ella Vaughn. This might be in a newer book. I don't know. Originally it was on this like Sudbury box. Merry Christmas, Elevon.
That's a nice frame.
My husband made the frame. I did Merry Christmas, Laura Fields, which was my mother's father's mother. So my grandfather's mother, Laura Fields. This one is Loose Feathers 14, Summer House. Most of these were all done. They were kitted from Old Mill Stitchery, and they were all done on whatever it called for. All of them with 2 strands. Again, Summer House. This one I did fairly recently, well, within the last few years. I did this one 40 count. This is from the book In Friendship's Way. This is a great book if you can get your hands on this. I actually have this box here. I should be doing this. But this one is called the 1861 Antique Sampler. This is one that the colors are like, and then they work because it's Blackbird. And they know what they're doing with colors. This one is from the book Honeysuckle Manor. They call it Hannah Lavina Jocelyn, which was their relative. I did it Anna Livonia York, which is my mother's mother's mother. So my grandmother's mother on my mom's side. I thought it was interesting that it's Hannah Lavinia and my is Anna Livonia. I mean, the names were really similar. I thought that was interesting.
Why are you separating the chart?
Because I'm going to put the charts away when I'm done. Look. Why? Oh, well, the charts are right here. It's not a problem.
No, I just have to match them up.
I can do that. I can. This is Where My Heart Blooms. Now, this is interesting because this is supposed to have over one that says home is where my heart is. I don't know if I just didn't want to do that or what my problem was, but instead I did like an extra heart. So anyway, home is where my heart blooms. And this also has been reprinted in a book. I've seen some people stitching this. This is one you see a lot. This has been reprinted, I think. This is Feast of Friendship. I didn't put Feast of Friendship, I put Blessings Abound. This one was actually Loose Feathers number 1, Spring's Promise. And my chart is pretty battered up. Spring's Promise. I love these old East Side frames. I just love them. East Side moldings. They're kind of hard to find. This is Moonlit Garden. I think this is in a book now too. Moonlit Garden. I keep wanting to say by Blackbird, but you know. This is Quaker Garden. I did this one fairly recently. When I say recently, it's in the last 5 years, where some of these are really old. Some of them I did like 2004. Quaker Garden. Love that one. This is Salute to Abigail. This originally was a Dying to Stitch kit. Came with the silks. Yeah, I did that one a long time ago. This is one that I did, and then it was a sample at the store I worked at, even though we were mostly not a cross-stitch store. And so they framed it for me, but they framed it with glass, and it's not museum, and I don't like glass, just my personal opinion. And this one is called Sampler House. This was a lot of stitching. I remember thinking it would never end. 2006, I did this one. This is again a Loose Feathers. This is number 23, called Bluebird's Message. I love this one. That one doesn't have a date. I wish I would have dated as I went along, but I haven't, so it just is what it is. And back then I didn't do a book a days either. This is Garden of Life. Garden of Life. It says friends, the flowers in the Garden of Life. This is also Loose Feathers. I've seen people trying to find this one. I don't know if it's ever been reprinted. It's called Their Song. This is a familiar poem or whatever. You can really tell this was overdyed linen because you can see a lot of these were done with R&R linen. Their Song. Oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. This is Birds of a Feather. A lot of people have done this one. This was done with needlepoint silk, so I'm not sure if I ordered it that way or if it was a kit. Because usually BlackBird didn't do silks. They did mostly overdyed cottons. Again, Birds of a Feather.
There's another really nice frame.
Okay, this one is called Moonlit Garden. So my sister made this for me. So what you see stitched, my sister stitched and framed it. I stitched it for her, unframed mine, and reframed what I stitched for her in the frame she had originally stitched mine in. If you follow this, I'm going to give you a prize. So when I restitched my own, because it was a kit and I had it and she had it, my husband made the frame to match the one that had been sent to her. And this one is called Moon Garden. So my sister actually stitched this, but she has the one that I stitched. So this one, this really has memories. This is what I did in 2004. This is called With My Needle. This is Loose Feathers number 2. With My Needle. So my son would have been 14, and I remember stitching on this while I was waiting for him to finish with baseball practice. Sitting in the car. Very, very distinct memory. This one needs to be properly framed. When we got the kit, we had the option to buy the frame, and I just stuck it in here. This is actually in a patriotic book, but I'm not sure which one. It's been reprinted. It's called Liberty Rose. You don't think of it as patriotic, but it is. So I put my mom and my dad's initials and the year they were married in the 2 different linens. I didn't have any problem stitching it together. I just need to get it properly framed. So this afternoon I'll be putting all these back. This is number 3, Loose Feathers. See, I was really good stitching like 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of went. Although I have still done a lot of them, but I have a lot more that are. This is called Evening Shades. Evening Shades, the Garden. I had this framed at Hobby Lobby, and they did a terrible job. There's much more margin here than there is on the sides, but I didn't take it back. I probably should have, but I didn't. This is a much sought after pattern. I don't lend out my patterns. I did lend one out, a couple at one point in time. I had to ask for them back, and that's just not cool. This is And to All a Good Night, and this is one that I think it's like on eBay is pretty expensive. And to All a Good Night. This one is the 3, and yes, they did not do spring. It's just autumn, winter, and summer, or summer, autumn, winter. The 3 leaflets. There's a lot of cool things on if you're stitching these, there's a lot of cool things on the back of these. I mean, look at this. How fun is that on the autumn one? Or that. And then look at this. Very cool. I mean, that's why I put them back in with, I have designer boxes that have certain designers. BlackBird always goes back in the BlackBird boxes because there's so many extras. But anyway, there's those 3. And you notice a lot of mine are bigger because I did originally stitch them with the higher, or the lower count, like 32.
I'll hold it for you.
This one is Agnes Platt Strawberry Sampler. This is the one that, I showed you this already. This was, okay, the original was done on uneven linen, so it was square. They did not restitch it. They just charted the antique. So when I went to do it on an even count, it came out this way, and it ended right here. And it just felt unfinished. So that's when I went and I added Wrought by C. Whitchurch in the year of our Lord 2016. So I did this one 9 years ago. Wow. And the last one is Christmas Garden. I just showed you this not too long ago on my Christmas. And again, this one has some pretty cool little fun things on the chart. So this one is Christmas Garden. This one's kind of heavy, so. Okay, and then I have a few things that have not been framed. So thank you, dear. That's all I need you for. This one I finished last year. This is Raven Bewitched.
That's all?
For now. This is Raven Bewitched. These are ones that need to be framed. I finished that in 2024. This is from the book The Bells on Christmas Day. And there it is there. I also did this box and I gave it as a gift in our stitching exchange. Let's see if I can find it. These books are just full of little things. I did this one. I did the box, painted it red just like that, and did this and this. And then filled this with, that was a pretty nice exchange gift. I said I was going to turn around and do it for myself, but I haven't yet. So, Bells on Christmas Day, which is also named Bells on Christmas Day. So, the book is Bells on Christmas Day, and the stitching is go. And this one I actually did with a silk conversion from the attic. I've shown all this stuff, so.
Does this is showing this?
No, I just need to put it away. That's from. This is All Joys for Thine.
Oh, you've already done this.
Yep. And there it is. This is another that need to be framed. This one is Winter is Past. And that bird series that they're going to reprint has these similar colors, these blues and grays and golds and browns. And this I could actually trim down the linen. Winter is Past. This one is Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring. I love this. I loved stitching this. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Probably one of my favorite BlackBird I've ever done. Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring. Desperately needs to be ironed because there's a fold in the middle of it. Very fun. This is probably on 36 count. I did this one in 2020.
You're done with this.
Yes.
Don't forget this.
This is all I have left to do.
These.
All done. This is Oh Joyous Day. Alma originally did this for her son. He got married and it has his initials and the date. And I didn't want to make it a wedding sampler. So I just put in my initials and I added a bird on the chimney. Oh Joyous Day. I'm sorry for all the wrinkles. Some of these have been in a area where I need to frame file. It's not an under the bed box, but it should be called that, but it's actually a cabinet. And this one is Come Into My Garden. Again, this is one of my favorite ones I ever did. And this one I put my mom's mom, Georgia Thompson. She was born in 1889. Come Into My Garden. And she and my grandfather, they had a small house. As a child, once they got older, they moved. But as a child, I thought they lived on a farm. They actually just had a huge vegetable garden. I mean, I can remember picking corn and strawberries and canning and freezing and green beans, and she cooked the best fried chicken I ever had in my whole life. She would wring the neck of the chicken and then fry it. I'm not kidding. Fried in lard. Whew, good stuff. This is I Love More Strong. This is my most recent BlackBird finish. Well, I did those others, but this one was my January Blessing sampler. And this one I put both, I showed this last time, I put both my mom and my dad and the year they were married. I Love More Strong. The last few things I'm going to show you are retreat pieces. Some of them are available, some of them are not. This is hats off to Uncle Sam. When I originally did it, this was a class that I took at the Old Mill Stitchery. Now that's a counting pen. Lord have mercy, that one's huge. And we started the stitching. I think this part was already done, I think. And then we painted the top of, because it's just a box, you know, and then it's on a plaque. We painted this. That was one thing with Barb. If she could get you to paint, if you were going to get to a retreat, you were going to paint. I have other painted stuff that I've done. Hats off to Uncle Sam. Love that piece. And I have it in my sewing room. It just sits like this. Once I get stuff, if I can get stuff put together, I will show a picture of that. This was a retreat piece, and this has been reprinted in A Stitcher's Journey, but I don't know I think that book is out of print. So this was done a long time ago. Thistle House Sewing Box and Oh My Stars Pin Keep. I went to about, 8 or 9 retreats with BlackBird, because they were kind of, even after I moved to Florida, they were kind of local, because my sister lived in Kansas and a lot of them were in Kansas and Missouri, so it was fairly easy to go to my sister's and then go to a retreat. This box was originally from Hobby Lobby. We did paint it during the class, but it has these like raised, And even at the time, you could not find any more of these boxes. It's just a paper mache box that we painted. Oh, and then we put fabric on the inside. Isn't that cool? And some floss and a button. This is one of my very favorite things that I've ever done. That's Blackbird. I just love it. Love it, love it. So the stitching, the painting, the pin cushion, and it was all called Thistle House Sewing Box and Oh My Stars Pin Creep. If you can get the Stitcher's Journey book, it's in there. This was another retreat, 2009. Alma signed it, 2009. Oh, Lord, that's a long time ago. This was actually in Kansas City, because I remember going to this one, and my daughter went with me, my sister and my daughter. So we did this hexie, it's supposed to be a bulletin board that you do in hexies, and then we had this. So the name of this, I don't know. Oh, Vintage Pin Cushion and Strawberry. I guess I didn't do the strawberry. Anyway, I put the year my mom was born. All of this came with it, so that was very fun. This was a class that they came, I know a lot of people don't like to see things that are no longer available, but you know, I've done them, they're Blackbird, I'd like to show them, so they came to Jacksonville, and I couldn't find the pattern for this one, so I don't know if it's ever been, they had, okay, so this was a box from Hobby Lobby, and we covered it with this stuff. Well, it's from a Quaker sampler that they took pictures of, and we glued it, and then we sanded it, and then we put the brie wax, which mine could use another thing of brie wax. I just wish we had put something on the inside here. I'm not sure if this goes with this or not. I think it does. My daughter has this too. They came to Jacksonville, Blackbird did, and we did this in Jacksonville. It was like a 2-day class. I think I've seen this in a book somewhere, but I don't know. So that was fun. And then the last thing I want to show you, and I don't think this has ever been reprinted. This was called American Star. This is full coverage, and we painted the box. Again, barb as you paint, stencil. They really were the first really multi-crafters that did cross stitch and quilting and rug hooking and all of it. So there that is. I don't know that I did a great job finishing it, but it's all completely stitched. I didn't put a date on this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little Blackbird parade. I do have a few other things that are put away, but nothing really big anymore that are big. So again, I hope you've enjoyed it. He'll probably try to put some pictures in. This is one huge mess right now, so I will try to be, it probably won't be till March, and I'm going to hopefully finish most of Little Birds, and then in March and April is with I Needle and Thread. I'm going to really concentrate on finishing whips and working on those, and Brenda has already revealed her 7 new designs for Market, which are gorgeous as always. She's just so creative. So we're very fortunate to have so many wonderful designers that just keep us going crazy. They need to stop. No, they don't. So I haven't seen anything from Plum Street or Scarlet House, so it'll be interesting to see what they put out. So anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you when I see you. Love you. Bye.